This used to be just a stormwater pond, not a wildlife sanctuary, not a rookery, not a place where hundreds of birds nest. But today, that is exactly what it is. Welcome to the Cypress Wetlands. Located in Port Royal, South Carolina, between a busy street and a residential neighborhood, the Cypress Wetlands is one of the most successful small-scale wetland restoration stories in the southeastern United States. This is Dr. Mac Outside, where we explore nature, conservation efforts, and quiet success stories that don't always make the headlines. The story of the Cypress Wetlands began in 1999. The town of Port Royal made a quiet but powerful decision to restore a forgotten wetland on Paris Avenue and to revive a historic rookery that had once defined the landscape. What followed was a collaborative effort between town leadership, the Department of Public Works, and local experts, all focused on a single goal of letting nature do what nature does best. Stormwater runoff was redirected and slowed. Rainwater was allowed to filter naturally back into the Beaufort River, which was the local river. Native wetland trees, to include cypress and other foundation species, were planted to rebuild what had once been lost. And it worked. The wetlands came back to life. What is now known as the Cypress Wetlands grew into a thriving rookery, home to wading birds, aquatic life, and even alligators, whose alligator holes created refuge for fish, turtles, and other species during dry periods. By spring and summer, the wetlands become a breeding ground for white ibis, great egrets, snowy egrets, night herons, and green herons. In the fall and winter, the wetland transforms into a vital roosting site for herons, egrets, wood ducks, and other bird species. The Cypress Wetlands is not a natural wetland. It was designed, it was built, and it was built for birds. Herons, egrets, ibis, wood storks, these birds need one thing above all else, and that is protection from land predators. Water is a barrier. Raccoons can't swim long distances, fox won't wade out, and snakes can't reach isolated trees. When the Cypress Wetlands were first designed, conservation planners understood the need to protect the birds from land-based predators. That's why early restoration efforts included man-made islands planted with cypress trees and other trees related to nesting. And at first, it worked. But here's the thing, wetland restoration efforts, when successful, grow. Wetlands don't stay frozen in time. Vegetation grows, sediment builds up, floating plants connect the shoreline, and that's what led to what became nearly a disaster. Over the years, the man-made islands slowly became reachable. What was once open water became a land bridge, and predators like raccoons can change everything. Once predators can access the rookery, the impact is devastating. They don't just take one egg, they take dozens. They don't just disrupt one nest, they can wipe out an entire season of growth for a bird species. By the mid-2010s, that's exactly what happened. Surveys showed that bird populations were collapsing, from hundreds of nests just down to a handful. The habitat looked fine to the casual eye, but ecologically, it had failed. The lesson was clear, and it's one that conservationists have learned over and over again. Creating habitat is only the first step. Protecting it over time is what determines whether wildlife stays or whether it disappears, whether the habitat is successful or a failure. In 2018, Port Royal recommitted to the wetlands. Conservation efforts turned to active management, removing vegetation, restoring open water, and rebuilding isolation. The birds responded almost immediately, because when you give wildlife what it's evolved for, it remembers how to thrive. By 2025, the wetland has grown to over 800 nests for multiple bird species over 12 acres. If you've ever been near a rookery, you'll know it smells intensely. The noise, the odor, the crowds, these aren't signs of failure. These are the signs of increased and heavy carrier capacity. Some birds now nest on the shoreline away from the protected area. This is telling biologists that the prime real estate is filling up. Birds aren't the only winners in the Cypress Wetlands. Restored wetlands rebuild food webs from the bottom up. Open water, shallow margin, and seasonal flooding create perfect nursery habitats with fish, especially juvenile species that would never survive in deeper, faster moving water. Amphibians benefit too. Toads, frogs, and salamanders depend on the wetlands to provide nursing habitats for their species as well. And then there are the alligators. In coastal South Carolina, alligators are more than just residents, they're ecosystem engineers. Their presence helps to regulate fish populations, recycle nutrients, and even maintain open waterways through movement and nesting behavior. Insects thrive here as well. Dragonflies, damselflies, mosquitoes, bees, they pollinate nearby plants, feed the fish and birds, and connect the wetlands to the surrounding landscape. The Cypress Wetlands in Rookery is part of a much larger coastal system, one that stretches from inland freshwater ponds to tidal marshes and the open Atlantic. Wetlands like the Cypress Wetland function as buffers, soft infrastructure that absorb floods, reduce erosion, and protect nearby communities from storm surge. In times of change in climate, this isn't optional, but essential. That's why projects like the Cypress Wetlands matter beyond local success. They prove conservation doesn't always mean locking land away. Sometimes it means redesigning the places that we already use so nature and people can thrive together.
You see the bird? It's a bird.
The Cypress Wetlands is in good hands. Local volunteers formed a group, Friends of the Port Royal Cypress Wetlands. They've added interactive signs, host tours, and helped to protect the site. This small wetland tells a bigger story. With thoughtful design, ongoing care, and community buy-in, these small wetlands and projects like the Cypress Wetlands can become better than they were before. When planning your visit to the Cypress Wetland, timing matters. The wetlands change dramatically throughout the season, and so does the wildlife. The greatest number of birds and the widest variety of species arrive in the spring and into early summer. From late March to early June, the wetlands become a full nesting colony. Herons, egrets, ibises, and storks return to the same trees year after year, filling the Cypress Islands with nests, calls, and constant movement.
Oh, I see a lot of baby birds now. You got to look closer, and there's a bunch of little babies up there.
Late spring to early summer is when you'll see courtship displays, adults feeding chicks, and young birds testing their wings for the first time. It's also when the wetlands are the loudest and the most active. Daily timing also matters. During the midday, a lot of birds are away. Mothers are off seeking food for the chicks. But in the evening, or near dusk, is when you see the most birds returning. Hundreds of birds fly in from each direction, settling into the rookery for night. During the fall and winter, the Cypress Wetlands are quieter, but no less important. Some species remain year-round, and this is when habitat management also takes place, preparing the wetlands for the next breeding season. On Dr. Mac Outside, these are the stories we seek out, places where human decisions don't replace nature, but help it and reinforce. If you like conservation, if you love nature, and you like this type of content, be sure to like and subscribe. Follow along. I'll keep going to great places, and I'd love to have you along with me.
Yeah, it's still sitting there.